She texted, "I think maybe we need to break up." I surprised her by replying, "I agree. Your stuff is on the lawn." The notification glowed on my phone screen, face up on the edge of the kitchen sink, its bland font delivering a seismic shift that should have shattered my world. I didn't jump, didn't gasp. A strange, icy calm simply descended over me, the final piece of a grim puzzle slotting silently into place. My hands, slick with grease and grime from the stubborn garbage disposal, paused their work. This particular repair had been her nagging chorus for weeks, a constant reminder of my perceived inadequacies, yet another chore on the endless list I maintained to keep our shared life afloat. The text itself was a masterpiece of cowardice, a passive-aggressive grenade lobbed from the safety of wherever she was, probably a chic wine bar with her coworkers, one coworker in particular. It was the culmination of months of erosion, the mysteriously late nights at the office, the new overly casual interest in her appearance whenever a certain Jason from accounting was mentioned, the way her phone was now permanently face down, guarded like a state secret. The emotional distance had become a chasm I'd been desperately trying to bridge with acts of service, like fixing this stupid disposal, hoping it would somehow make me enough again. Her message wasn't a discussion, it was a verdict. And so I decided my response wouldn't be an appeal, it would be an execution. I carefully wiped my hands on a ragged towel, the gritty grease a fitting metaphor for the residue of our relationship. There was no frantic pacing, no angry tears, just a cold, methodical clarity. I walked from the kitchen, through the living room we'd furnished together, and into the bedroom that had become a lonely place. I yanked open the closet doors, and there it all was, the tangible evidence of our life, though now it looked more like a museum exhibit of a failed experiment. I didn't sift through memories. I was an archaeologist of a dead civilization, cataloging artifacts for disposal. I grabbed the heavy-duty black contractor bags, the kind you use for real demolition work. The first item was a ridiculously expensive jar of La Mer face cream, a gift she'd guilt-tripped me into after a fight I'd already forgotten the cause of. Thump, into the bag. Next, the designer heels, the red-soled Christian Louboutins she'd maxed out my credit card for, justifying it as an investment for client meetings. Thump, thump. The half-empty bottles of Narciso Rodriguez perfume, the silk blouses from her empowerment shopping sprees, the stack of lacy, rarely worn lingerie, all of it was unceremoniously scooped, folded, or dumped into the growing pile of black plastic. I was a machine, efficient and emotionless. Each item was a weight lifted, a tie severed. Drawers were emptied, her side of the bathroom vanity was cleared out, even the spare toothbrush was tossed. I left nothing of her behind. In under 30 minutes, her physical presence in my home had been reduced to 6 large, lumpy trash bags sitting in the center of the bedroom carpet. The hard part was over. The next phase was delivery. I hauled the bags, one by one, through the house. They were heavy, weighted down by the sheer mass of her materialism. I didn't drag them, I carried them with a firm, final purpose. I pushed open the front door and stepped out into the cool evening air. Our lawn, which I mowed every Saturday without fail, was neatly trimmed. I chose a spot right in the center, a place visible from the street, and began stacking the bags. I arranged them not with anger, but with a peculiar sense of presentation, like a gallery installation titled "The Consequences of Your Actions." I took a step back, surveyed the pile, a small mountain of a discarded life, and pulled out my phone. The camera app opened. I made sure the focus was sharp, the flash off, to capture the stark reality of the scene. The flash of the camera was the only spark of the evening. I attached the photo to our text thread, right below her breakup message and my initial reply. I typed out the second part of my plan. I agree. Your stuff is on the lawn. The locksmith arrives in 20 minutes. Good luck with Jason from accounting. I didn't write Jason with a question mark. I stated it as the fact I'd known for weeks, ever I'd seen their flirty Slack messages pop up on her laptop screen she'd left open. I hit send. The silence that followed was profound, but it lasted less than 10 seconds. Then my phone erupted. It wasn't a call, it was a digital siege. Incoming call after incoming call, her name flashing on the screen like a panic alarm. The phone vibrated itself across the countertop. I didn't answer, I simply picked it up, swiped the notifications away, and set it to Do Not Disturb. The theater of this drama wasn't on my phone, it was outside on my lawn, visible through the high-definition security camera doorbell I'd installed after a package was stolen. I opened the live feed on my tablet and sat down at the kitchen table, finally pouring myself a stiff drink. I watched. 28 minutes later, right on schedule, a familiar silver Honda Civic screeched to a halt at the curb, tires kissing the asphalt. It wasn't her car, it was her best friend's Melissa's. The passenger door flew open and she emerged. Her face, illuminated by the harsh glare of the streetlight, was a perfect canvas of shock, disbelief, and dawning horror. She stood frozen for a moment, just staring at the pile of black bags on my lawn. She took a stumbling step forward, then another, as if approaching a car crash. She reached out a trembling hand and poked one of the bags as if it were an illusion. Then the frantic scramble began. She fumbled in her purse, pulling out her keys, the keys to a home that was no longer hers. She ran to the front door, jamming the key into the lock. It didn't turn. She tried again, harder, her movements becoming jerky and desperate. She tried a different key, then another, a sob catching in her throat. The lock was already changed. The locksmith had been and gone 15 minutes prior, a swift, paid-in-cash transaction. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. This was the dramatic climax, but I had one more twist in the final act. Just as she sank to her knees on the welcome mat, a single broken sob escaping her lips, a second car, a modest Toyota Corolla, pulled in behind Melissa's. The driver's door opened and a young woman got out. It was her younger sister, Maya. The same sister she'd had a vicious relationship-ending falling out with a year ago over a disputed family inheritance, a fight she'd proudly declared she'd won, cutting Maya out of her life completely. Maya, who I'd reached out to 3 weeks ago, offering a sympathetic ear and eventually the spare room now that I was anticipating having more space, Maya walked calmly up the path, a small suitcase in hand. She didn't even look at her sobbing sister on the ground. She looked right at the camera lens, at me, and gave a small, cool wave. Then she held up her new key, slid it smoothly into the lock, turned it, and pushed the door open. The look on my ex-girlfriend's face in that moment was something I will cherish forever. It wasn't just anger or sadness, it was the utter, complete annihilation of her reality. It was the pure, unadulterated betrayal of seeing her estranged sister welcomed into the home she'd just been locked out of by the man she had just discarded. It was the realization that her support system had not just crumbled, it had actively turned against her. As Maya stepped inside, closing the door softly behind her, leaving her sister alone on the dark lawn, my phone lit up one last time. Not with a call, but with a preview of an email from my lawyer. The subject line was perfect. Prenup enforcement. Confirmation. I opened it. The body was brief, stating that on her initiation of the separation, the ironclad prenup she had insisted upon to protect her hypothetical future inheritance from my gold-digging potential had been triggered. Its terms were clear and brutal. By being the party to end the relationship, she forfeited all and any claim to the house,
which was in my name, purchased before our marriage. She wasn't just temporarily locked out, she was legally, permanently homeless. Her final text came through then, a screaming all-caps indictment, "You planned this! You monster! You set me up!" I looked at the message and out the window at her crumpled form on my lawn, surrounded by the black bags of her old life. I took a slow sip of my drink, the ice clinking softly in the silent, peaceful house. Damn right I did. Every single step. And the best part, the show was just getting started. Jason from accounting, as my private investigator had happily informed me, was also married. His wife was next on my list to call.